Morning, family, or evening, whatever time you're watching this. Wanted to make a kind of quick one about the first doctor that I saw when I found out I had ALS. This doctor is Dr. Rebecca Jones, MD. She works at the Center for Spine and Neurology, 4400 North 32nd Street. Center for Spine and Neurology. When something's wrong with you, you got to be real careful where you go and who you see, because they're going to diagnose you with what they're good at and nothing else. So again, long story short, I went over there. I got an MRI for my lower back, an MRI for my neck. Then that didn't show anything. I had an MRI for my brain, and somehow, which is impossible if you look into this or know anything about Lou Gehrig's disease, it's impossible to diagnose someone with Lou Gehrig's disease just by a brain MRI. But that's what she did. She said, "I'm sorry, you have Lou Gehrig's disease, and we're going to do everything we can to help you," and all this nonsensical bullshit. She was talking to me like she was my aunt or something, like she was concerned but not really. That's kind of how my aunts talk. They're like kind of concerned but not really. I'm so far away from them, so removed. And she ended up telling me that this was only the middle of January. It was like January 14th, 15th, somewhere in there. She said, "Sean, this is weird too, because you're the fifth person this month that I've told that they have this." And I was like, is that rare then, I guess, or something? How much is it usually? She said, "Usually I only have like 2 people a month for the last, I don't know, however many years she was talking, whatever time frame it was." She said, "Maybe a couple of years or so, but this year it's already been 5. You're number 5. I was like, "Okay, it's not even like the end of January. It's only 1 month." And so that kind of goes to show you something. If you go to someone and you have some of the symptoms of what their expertise is in, they're going to tell you that you have that. Basically, towards the end of that, I thought about it. She said if I have any other questions to ask her. I asked a couple other questions, and then I thought about it for a second. I was like, "Man, your job's rough." I said, "That kind of sucks. You got to tell people like every month, almost half a dozen people, that they're going to die pretty soon." She stopped, thought about it, looked at me and said, "Well, Sean, I'd rather be in my chair than your chair." Kind of took me back for a second, and then she sat back. She's like, "Is there any other questions I can answer you?" And I was like, "No, I think I'm good." I kind of looked at the missus. We looked at each other and we're like, "Yeah." We both kind of said with our eyes, "Let's get the out of here. What's wrong with this lady?" And since then, I have not really got any actual help. I called several times back to try to get some pain medication, which she refused to give me because she had already pushed me towards Barrow's Neurological. So basically, she washed her hands of me and she was like, "Well, you're off of Barrow's, so you just need to just go talk to them." Went and talked to Barrow's. They told me the same thing without looking at any. He barely looked at my MRI. He was like, "Oh, let me see the MRI," and he looked whatever for a second while I was sitting there. He made it seem like he never even looked at it before. Then he asked me about my EMG. He said, "Oh, you got an EMG as well?" I said, "Yeah." I had something that the doctor had sent me, just the first page of the printout or whatever for it. I showed that to him. He said, "Oh, this is incomplete. I'll have to look up the rest of it." But still, before we left, without fully looking at the MRI and without even looking at the EMG at all, the second doctor at Barrow's Neurological, Dr. Lotta, he said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to agree with her. You definitely have ALS." And all they did was just kept pulling on my arms and making me do different exercises that show that I'm weak, which I'm very weak. That's also not strict. That's not the only way to tell if somebody has something, just by the weakness on their arms and shoulders and wrists. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there. If you're having a problem at the house and you call a plumber, I bet he'll find a plumbing problem. If you call a mechanic or an electrician, I bet you'll find an electrical problem, and so on and so forth. I went to someone who specializes in ALS, I guess, and what they do, they told me and reassured me I have ALS. How convenient. How convenient is that for them? Love you guys. See ya.